character, social consciousness, self-awareness, human values, and a conscience that helps us to know what is right and what is wrong. This brings us to the topic of the day, social consciousness and values. I am Mrs. Jamal Saida Tabassum, Assistant Professor from the Department of Chemistry and your MC for the 5th day of the Induction program, virtually organized for the privileged audience who have entered virtually into the portals of this esteemed institution, Justice Bashir Ahmed Syed College for Women. Let's begin this session by invoking the blessings from the Almighty. Surah Mulk, verses 1 to 3. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور. Translation: Mulk meaning the dominion. Blessed is he in whose hand is the dominion, and he is over all things competent. Who created death and life so as to test which of you is best indeed. Who created death and life so as to test which of you is best indeed, and he is exalted in might and forgiving. Who created 7 heavens in layers. You do not see in the creation of Most Merciful any inconsistency. So return your vision to the sky. Do you see any flaw? Jazakallah khair. Moving on. We have with us today 2 eminent personalities, Dr. Uma Narayanan and Dr. Abha Bhatia. Dr. Uma Narayanan is a talent development specialist, facilitator, leadership life coach and integral educator with 17 years of professional experience. Dr. Uma holds a doctorate from the Department of Management Studies, IIT Madras. Specializing in the area of organizational behavior and positive psychology, her research topic was on inner strengths using an integral approach applied for leaders and working professionals. She has also presented this model in national and international conferences and received an award. She holds a postgraduate degree in HRD psychology. She is a certified NLP master practitioner. She runs individual and team-based sessions, leveraging individual and collective profiling of inner strengths. Currently, she is a director of at People First Consultants, a 25-year human resource consulting firm. An ardent learner, she is passionate about individual change and transformation that is positive, holistic, and aligned to one's unique self and rhythm. We also have with us Dr. Abha Bhatia, consultant coach and facilitator. With over 19 years of experience in learning and development, Dr. Abha has trained and interacted with people across different sectors and age groups. Dr. Abha holds a doctorate from IIT Madras and has extensive experience in designing and delivering various soft skills, life skills, sales and leadership developmental programs across industries and levels. She is a recipient of Outstanding Training Achievement Award from Canara Bank and other clients. Besides the awards, she feels the testimonials from the participants is her biggest achievement. Dr. Abha has presented and published papers in several national and international journals in international conferences. Dr. Abha is currently working as an independent consultant and is also the founding partner of V Mantra Consulting Limited, specializing in diversity and inclusion agenda of her clients. Dr. Abha is currently engaged with senior leadership coaching and emerging development for a leading medical outsourcing MNC using Harrison Assessment. On behalf of the management, principal, and IQAC of JBS College for Women, I feel privileged to welcome Dr. Uma Narayanan and Dr. Abha Bhatia. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Mrs. Wahida Mateen, the head of the Department of Psychology and the organizer of today's session, to address you all. Ma'am?
Yes, Saida. Assalamu alaikum and a pleasant morning to one and all. It is a happy and proud moment today to pronounce the names of resource persons Dr. Abha Bhatia and Dr. Uma Narayanan, who did their undergraduation in the Department of Psychology from our esteemed institution. Nothing is more gratifying to a teacher than seeing her students making it great. They are highly responsible and motivated throughout their journey. My happy congratulations on your well-deserved success. I wish all our students to uphold the zeal and commitment that have made what Dr. Uma and Dr. Abha today. Wish you all a great future ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Wahida, ma'am. What more can make a person happy than to hear their teacher appreciate them? It feels so good to know that the speakers are from the JBA's family. Over to you, Dr. Uma and Dr. Abha.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Very good morning to all of you. And welcome to today's session. I think the teachers have been very kind in giving us such a warm introduction. So we will not take too much time in introducing ourselves. I'm going to request Uma to set the context and ground rules for today's session. I hope everyone knows why we are here today. We are here to have a dialogue on values and social consciousness. And we will get into why values and what are values just in a little bit of time. But let's first understand what you can expect from us and very simple expectations that we have from you.
Thank you, Abha. So I think, let me just make sure that I can see everybody here. Yeah. I'm not audible, but I think the first thing is welcome and thank you all very much. I think it is an honor and a privilege to, I think both I can speak on behalf of Abha and me, that we are here and we can share a little bit of a slice of life and experience on, as Abha mentioned, values and social consciousness. I think it makes us who we are, and we will talk about that a lot more. And so it is indeed a privilege, and thank you so much. The prayer brought me back to the auditorium of JBAS, and I'm sure all of you, once the lockdown's done, you will see the amazing presence and energy in the college. So we hope to welcome you there soon. So we've had the privilege of that, and I was just really reliving all of those things. So with that, I think the first thing, as Abha mentioned, is what will help us learn these 90 minutes that we are together. The first thing obviously is a health check. What I mean by health check is technology. I mean, today in health, in COVID, people will think differently. But what I mean is in this session, the technology. So please, on your own, make sure that you keep your, mic on mute. It just helps everybody listen to each other. And so resist the urge to play around and, unmute yourself and test things. So just keep yourself muted, like right now. Beautiful. The second thing is there is a chat. So please, that is one amazing way of engaging together. So you've already been using it. So we will extensively ask you to put things in the chat. So we really hope you can do that. The third thing is we will ask you all to, the third thing is about any session for both of us, I think, is about the engagement. What I mean by that is we'll ask you questions. The more you engage, the more value everybody gets. So there is a collective power of, I think, at least the last time I saw was about 400 people plus. So I think there's a collective power of all of us coming. So, don't think that, okay, somebody else will answer this and, okay, I will not put this in the chat. If you put it, it becomes valuable to you. So when we have certain questions, we really encourage you to participate. And we have seen over the years of training that we've done, when you participate, something moves for you. So we really encourage you to engage in the chat. Once or twice we may unmute, but again, just remember the technology. And we also have another thing that we will do, like a question thing. So please do input your answers for that as well. So that would be the engaging piece. And the third thing is make the session yours. What I mean by this is, sometimes when people speak in this mode, we can't see each other. The mind gets distracted. So, you own your own attention. So over the next 90 minutes, you focus your attention, see if you can really, put your mind onto the session, listen carefully, participate, and make this yours. When we say make this yours, I hope at the end of 90 minutes, you take away something that you understand about yourself and something that you can live your student life with, and future, of course. But I think these two things will engage us further. Okay. So with that, I think we've talked a little bit, right, Abba? So shall we just go for
Yes,
the
Oma, before we go to the video, I see a couple of students who have raised their hand. So while we encourage you to raise the hand option, do it when you have a question or if you have something to say. So I see Sushmita and Salma have their hands raised. So is it because you were trying the features, or is it because you really have something to say? All right. So in that case, I think they're just experimenting with what is the options available. So you have that option. Use it wisely when there is a question or when you have something to add to the discussion. All right. I think, Uma, we can play the video.
Beautiful. And by the way, Abha, when I'm on slide share mode, I can't see the chat, so you may need
Yes, I will take care of it. Don't worry.
Perfect. Okay, so let's just hear. So what do we want to do? We'll share a video with you. And literally what the slide says here is record what inspired you. So I hope you have a paper and pen in front of you. Induction and student life. So definitely make sure you have a paper and pen in front of you, because we are going to ask you to note down some things. So if not, quickly take it right now, 2 seconds. Record what inspired you most, either in the chat itself or in your pen and paper, right? So have both. So I think, Abba, to save time, let's just ask them to directly put it in the chat. So
I think that's better.
See the video. So what do you want? So just see the video, connect to the video, connect to the main character in the video as well and others, and then put down what is it that inspired you as you saw the video. So that's what we would like you to do. So let me just quickly open this up. And there we go. Initially, the audio will be less, but it will pick up.
सर आपके लिए उस पार कार का इंतजाम किया है चलो हिंदुस्तान चले चलो हिंदुस्तान चले चलो हिंदुस्तान चले चलो हिंदुस्तान चले
It gives me goosebumps every time I see this video. So, Ava, maybe you can just go through the chat and...
Yes, so I already have people who've written it shows unity. It shows unity is strength again. Anybody can do anything regardless of their age, gender, and culture. Wonderful. We should help others, certainly, most certainly, a very important value. Again, unity is strength, unity is strength.
Team
We
power.
should help others. Right. Humanity always wins. Teamwork. Change starts with you. Very nice. Team spirit.
And then in the middle, I
Oh,
saw
look
the
at-
little schoolboy having hope. You know, it's amazing. Beautiful, beautiful.
Put your hands together. Youngsters are the
leaders.
future. Yeah, youngsters are the future. Do not wait for others to help you.
Oh, that's a
Being
beautiful
together
one,
always
right? Do not wait for somebody
leads to
else.
success. Yeah, hard work never fails. Wonderful. Humanity is a
Remember,
basic quality.
we used to have Freshers' Eve, and then you don't wait for others to figure out something. You just go ahead and start
Go ahead
inspiring.
and do it. Yes. Be the initiative for others. Alone we can do little. Together we can do so much. Okay, wonderful. I think pretty much start something good. Don't give up. All right. Be the
Confidence.
beginning. Inspire others. Speaking to tomorrow's leaders. Be the one to start. I think pretty much unity, take initiative, leadership. Leadership is not bossing others around. It is getting on the ground. Nice one. Have willpower. Hard work leads to success. Believe in yourself. Very nice. Little drops make an ocean. That's so beautiful.
Awesome.
Very nice. Great. Don't hesitate.
Aspire.
Aspire.
Awesome.
Faith
So I
in,
think,
have faith in ourselves. Yeah, I think we have a lot to cover. Yeah.
yeah, do not hesitate. So beautiful, So I think when you heard Abba say these words, they are qualities. They are, let me just get back to sharing in a minute, but they are qualities, they are beliefs, they are actions, they are, what we call something that we hold as a value. And if you see, this video was a beautiful example of values and social consciousness. The power of unity that you talked about, the teamwork that you do in a context of what the world needs right now. And right now, you also see that in what's happening with the challenges in the world. Everybody is trying to pitch in to create the new world and to help, tide over the difficulties that we have. So we see this day in and day out in our lives. And we just want to get into that and understand that a little bit more. And in specifically around, what are these values? Because they are all values, what you're writing here. Be it teamwork, be it, having faith, being hopes. They're all things we hold important and things that are valuable. So this is what we want to go over, which is literally the power of putting our values in action. Literally the power of what all of us, if we have a social consciousness inside us, how do you in your everyday living inspire yourself, inspire the people around you, and really live the life that can thrive. I think Abba's topic is thriving. So it's really how we can thrive in our lives by being who we are, by inspiring others, and together, I think beautifully, that's what is there, unity, teamwork, all of these is what you've picked up today from the video. And that's exactly what happens in social consciousness. If collectively we hold a value very strong, then it's amazing the power that we can create. So that's probably what we wanted to also share. Anything, Abba, you'd like to add?
Just before we go on to the objectives, to reiterate and to reaffirm what Uma said, what we are talking about here today is very often the belief around values is that value is just a moral compass. It is just a guidance of what is right and what is wrong. It is true, value does guide us from right and wrong. But what is also important to understand is values in themselves can become our motivation to go on in life and to move ahead in life. Just like this video, where probably the boy's value was, instead of being a spectator, can I be a problem solver? So there is a problem, and there are so many people who can see the problem, but it took the value of can I be a problem solver to actually put yourself into action and put yourself out there and make things happen. Like someone said, change begins with you. So the objectives for today's session are also around that. The objectives that we have today is primarily to help you create an awareness of what values mean to us? What is the significance of values in our life? Do we want to look at values just as a moral compass, or do we want to embed and imbibe values in every single thing that we do in life? So to become aware of the significance that values have in our own lives. And the other objective that we will try and address today is to help us identify what are our core values. What is it that drives us? Uma's value may be mine, may not be mine, right? So it is important for me to know what values make sense to me, what values inspire me, what values motivate me. And we will also try and explore ways and means in which we can demonstrate that, ways and means in which we can showcase that, because value is important and value is relevant only when it is visible. Like this boy could have had the value of problem solving, but it created a change, it created a transformation only when he stepped out and demonstrated that value. So it's also important for us not to know that this is a value that I have, but it's also important for us to live by those values in every single thing that we do. And a few values that I would request for the session today is please keep yourselves on mute. While we keep trying and muting all during the session, it is good for you to also be conscious. Along with being socially conscious, it's also good to be conscious about our own selves. And my sincere request is that please stay on mute so that it does not disturb the session for others. That's very important, since we saw that helping others is a very important value. And if you have anything to say at all, drop a message on the chat window. We will make sure that we take time for your questions. You can raise your hand. We will unmute you so that you can ask your question or share your viewpoint. But other than that, my sincere request is please stay on mute. All right. So now that we've looked at values, let's try and discuss what values are. Yes, Uma.
So maybe it's a time for chat, right? So because let's hear them as well. So I think maybe in the chat box, we can start with, you saw in the video, Abha was sharing beautifully about some of the effects of, living our values. So then we would like to hear you, why values? How is it relevant today? And we are talking about it in your induction. So, just explore how this institute is valuing, this kind of life for us. And that's why we're putting it upfront in the induction. And I love that concept that, making us think about this. In fact, Abha, if I can deviate for 2 seconds before we open the chat, I don't know if you remember, we did these workshops during our psychology when we used to go. And, I'll tell you why this, what Abha said, identify your core values. This was an exercise I think we did when we were 18, 19. Pretty much the age group that's there right now in our workshop. And I remember this exercise for the first time. I actually spent a few minutes thinking about what was my core values. And I started circling so many of them. And we'll do that a little bit today for sure. But that was such an eye-opener for me when I did that workshop way back in that age. And that's why I feel that it's beautiful that we have brought it down in this induction time. And so I hope you really, take the time today to reflect on your own core values. We'll guide you through it, but I just wanted to, kind of talk about why the session right now, why is it relevant today for us in today's session. But more so, let's hear from you all in the chat, just about one sentence or two, why values and what impact does it have? So let me just stop sharing. I think no matter our age and how many people are along with us, if our path is right, everyone will join and dreams will be fulfilled. Beautiful. So value is everything. Okay, that's a perspective. Yes, absolutely. Our values make us face the world. Beautiful. What we value the most tells us what kind of a person we are. Absolutely. It just kind of is absolutely who we are. Values we possess show in our actions. Yes, like what Abha was saying, as well as the video. This is a beautiful point. If you're following the chat, it's a key for living purposeful life. I've always found when we're clear on our values, it actually helps guide our decision making. It actually guides us, what is it that we would do in this situation. It defines us. Beautiful. It makes us human. Yes. It's like personal guiding. Absolutely. Yes, values will judge a person how they are, but I just mull over what Abha was saying. My value could be different from her value. So judging here is a different hat, probably is appreciating, respecting. So we'll talk about that a bit. Values create changes. That's why it's important. Power of youth, hard work. So it is moral. It gives us a guideline. It's an internal compass. It's a way that it defines who we are. And that's why it is important. And it's also the impact that we do. So values is the next part that I see in the chat. Is it shows our character, it makes us who we are, it informs our thoughts, it informs our actions. And that's why it's very important. It's a key for successful people. Absolutely. It's one of the reasons why values matter. If you study successful people, they already and do know what their core contribution is and values are, and they live by that. If you even think about all the people who inspire you, you'll definitely see that some value in them has touched us. So I think these are reasons why, values are important. Anything else you want to add about from what you're hearing?
There's a student who says she has pupped eye and she cannot type, so she would like to speak. Maybe we'll just unmute her. I think it was Amina Miran. Amina, you may unmute yourself and sing. Okay. I'm not sure if she's there at the system. All right.
So values are important because they help us grow and develop. Absolutely. It creates meaning, and that's why these are important. Absolutely. And humanity needs us. Absolutely. I think for us to be human and for humanity, it's good that we have certain values that we live by. And not only us, I think the society has values and the world at large has values, and we'll spend some time on that. So, anything else? And I'll bring up the slides.
No, I think we are good with. I would like to hear, while I've heard a lot of people say what value means to them, why is it relevant for you today? Why do you think values are important for us in this age group that you are in? Is it relevant? First of all, is it relevant? Do you think it is relevant? How many of you think values is relevant? Just raise your hands. Right now, right here. Great, wonderful. I see a lot of hands go up.
Yeah, you're the one who can only see your tell. So many hands are raised. See the advantage of being our host, Abha. So.
Yeah, so now at least I know that everybody is on their system. All right. I get the message. So we all agree.
And thank you for the chat, because now I can also see the hands raised. So.
Okay, so now that we all agree that values is relevant, and I can safely say that we all agree because I still hear the ding ding go in the background. Why do you think value is relevant for us? How does value change our life? How does being socially conscious make us better? If at all it makes us better, why is it relevant? You can put it on chat. Or if anybody would like to speak, you can also raise your hand, unmute yourself and speak. So why, as a student, as a first year college student, what do you think is the role values will play in your life? It is the base of any kind of knowledge. Value makes us more aware. Great. They are relevant because if you don't have values, then anybody would do whatever they wish. So basically, there would be mayhem, confusion. Yes. Value is knowledge. Value is discipline.
Values are the basic decorum that we're supposed to follow. They create a basic decorum that is supposed, like etiquette that everyone is supposed to follow. That if we don't, it's going to create absolute chaos all around the world.
Great. So value, like Karushi says, adds to order, adds to discipline. Value is everything. Yes, value is everything. It is important for us to become successful. It helps us evaluate. It helps us achieve our goals. It helps us grow.
I picked up on one on respect. Value gives respect.
Value gives respect. Very nice. Yes.
Basically, would I like to share with you?
Yes, Bismi.
Ma'am, actually presently the students of JBS college, they have not got the courses which they wanted. Few people didn't get the courses which they wanted. So now if they value the course what they have got, surely they can shine in their future.
Wow.
So it brings a great cherishment to everybody. If they value their own course, whatever course it might be, if they value their course, surely they can come up with the flying colors. Is it right, ma'am?
Absolutely right, Bismi. In fact, that reminds me of my own personal experience. When I applied to JBS, I, like Mahida ma'am introduced, that I'm a student of psychology, but my application to JBS college was for BBM. I did not apply for psychology. And it's a very interesting story that sort of changed my life. I went to the college and we had a lot of teachers who were doing the admission process. So I what your core values are. This could be anything. There is no right list and a wrong list here. It is your personal core values that comes from deep within you, that you completely adhere to, that you completely believe in. It doesn't matter whether your parents agree with it. It doesn't matter whether your teachers agree with it. It is what you believe in. Identify your core values. Just to give you a hint of what these core values could be, it could be anything that defines your behavior. It could be anything that defines your character. It could be anything that inspires you to do and be what you are in life. Once you have written that down, take about 3-4 minutes to write that. Once you have written that down, then identify and circle top 3 values of that list. You may have a list of about 8, 9, 10 values. We would like you to try and pick and prioritize what are those 3 that are absolutely non-negotiable, that you will not compromise on even for your best friend, that you will not compromise on even for a parent. This is something that defines you in as complete a way as possible. Okay, so we are going to give you about 5 minutes to do this, and then I will give you the next instructions. So quickly take down your pens and papers, and start jotting this down. This needs to be in your diary, in your record. So do not use a chat window for this. Do it individually, please. And once you're ready, you can raise your hand.
So just dive in your own silence. And don't get your mind into it. Okay? You will know. Whatever words come for you, just write them down. Don't ask yourself, am I doing this? Am I not doing this? Don't do any of those things. Just write it down for yourself. Just a way to connect to your own values.
Hello.
Yes?
Ma, video call or audio call?
You're already in the meeting, so you have to mute. Can you see the presentation? Okay, must be on mute. Ilanga, can you see the presentation now?
I'm a new student, so today
Yes,
the
welcome. Okay. So
okay,
either
you
the
joined only today.
Yeah, okay. So welcome. So we're in the middle of the session. So we're talking about values. So either one the audio la irukkalam, because video one the maybe bandwidth kashtamā irukum. So you can take the audio, and what
Okay.
you're doing right now, you can see the slide, right? So you can mute your button so that everything is silent for everybody. So just mute yourself. You can see the slide. We are actually talking about values. That is understanding ourselves as values. So in that, you see on the slide, write down your core values, which means what is it that you hold, dear for you. It could be a quality. It could be something that is imbibed in your childhood or from childhood, or something that you inspired by. So just nadula vandadanaala just start following. You will get clearer as we go along. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. So for the others, just carry on doing what you're doing. And beautiful. So I think some people are beginning to get the 3 values. So what we're doing is we are having a link to enter it, so you can avoid putting it in the chat. So
let's give them another couple of minutes, Suma. Let them first write everything.
Who's entering it in the chat, so I just said hold on to that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So I think we'll continue to give you the time. Maybe Abba, they can just raise hands to let us know they're done. That will give you a sense of how many people are done with circling the top 3.
Yes, I already see some hands go up.
Beautiful.
And so maybe we could share the link. Those of you who are done, you can see this link, enter your responses in the link. Please copy this link and you can enter up to 3 values on that link.
So Abba, is the link in the chat?
The link is here on the screen. I can also copy paste it on the chat.
Yeah, I think that would be easier. So we are also doing this
And,
virtually, so we'll also be talking amongst ourselves.
Uma, you will also need to open the link from your system so that whatever is being typed can be seen.
Perfect. So I think there's an annotation
Right,
request. We're not
just
that feature, so we're going to use only the we're going to use only the link that Abba has given. So take the link that Abba has given, click on it, and enter your top 2 values, or 2 of any of your top values.
the link is there in the chat window. If you just click on that link,
So
you will see this kind of a page that Uma is sharing right now. So all you need to do is enter value 1, and then whichever is your second value, enter the value or the second value and click submit. The value or the second value.
exactly what I did right now.
Good evening, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. These values also include talents.
Sorry?
There's
What was the
values
question?
include talents.
Because we said values are your personal characteristic, and if you value that talent, why not?
Arrange in this sequence. Arrange karna
But avoid looking at it like a skill. If it's a particular talent that's defined who you are, then you enter it. But don't put the list of skills as such.
Arrange karko likhna.
So request to mute. I think
Yes, I'm going to request people to stay on mute.
so. Abba, maybe I'll stop sharing. You can open the Menti thing from your side and make you presenter.
You can click on see voting results and will it show you?
Let me just check. It says enter emails. I think it'll be easy on yours. It'll be running right now, right?
1 second.
So request to go on mute, please. I see a name. Can you get that person to mute, please?
I would like to say something. Can I just say?
Sure.
Can you show something?
Yeah, when Bismi said that, people got some of the course and they, they have to value that. I would like to, it's like kind of continuation from that. I would like to add that, these type of programs is also like we should value, because this is not something we students get it usually. Getting it through like this, it's really amazing. And, it helps us a lot. Like 4 days have been like a place where it's an eye opener for me. I got a lot of answers to my question. So yeah, this is a small thing I wanted to share.
Beautiful, and you've inspired others through that. Thank you.
Yes. Uma, I'm going to share my screen so I can share the results. Okay.
So for those who are putting it on the chat, please put it on the chat. Yes, but please remember to put it on Abba's link because we can see the collective, analytics. So Abba, you have to, yeah, perfect. Yeah. So we're just putting the link will show you how many people are putting what on the screen. So let's just have a look on what people are saying.
Okay. Are you able to see the screen?
It's coming. Thank you, Shafia Begum. It's coming. But it's showing a bit smaller.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, can I request people to go on mute for this, please? Abba, just hold on. Let's get silence. Janani,
Ma'am, you mute all and then you unmute yourself.
it'll be simpler. Yes, Abba. Thank you for the suggestion.
Screen sharing. I'm screen sharing again. So I'll stop sharing.
You go up on the black, even I found out the black option on top menu. That's the participant panel. Thank you so much for this.
All right. Oh, wonderful. There are a lot of values that have come up on the screen. So the ones that you see are larger in font size, like your self-respect, honesty, kindness. The size is a reflection of the number of people who've chosen these values. So if quite a few people have written these as their core values, then it will be in a larger font size. So it only indicates that many more people agree with us that these are our core values. Obedience, nice.
So in a way, Abha, we're getting a sense of the first year's values. So I hope faculty in the room are having a look at this diagram. So,
Ma'am, you have a very disciplined group. I see discipline as a core value.
respect, loyalty,
Respect, self-respect, very nice. Kindness, helping tendency, responsibility, obedience, loyalty.
perseverance, and creativity. I saw, and that's so important. Okay,
Janani, I'm going to request you to keep yourself on mute. Please do not unmute yourself.
and Shubharanika. So, beautiful. Thank you for the silence. Thank you. So, I saw creativity and perseverance, and it's beautiful because I think our world right now needs both of them quite a bit. So, humble, like that. Independence, it's a beautiful value. Not understood everywhere, but it's a beautiful value. I'm just reading the bigger ones, Abba.
Hmm. I see a lot of responsibility related values also. A lot around respect others, respect self, a lot around relationships, trustworthy, patience, self-love, commitment, being open-minded, being truthful, being honest, show respect for others' feelings.
Okay, somebody is saying they see forgiveness also. I mean, others in the chat, feel free to let us know what you see on the screen. You know, absolutely, you can add. I mean, general values, yes, but more from the slide that you're seeing right now. This is the live group right now. So if anything strikes you like how Abba and I are doing, please feel free.
I see to marry my love. I'm
Maybe that was
glad that at least
specifically
the
to you, then, Abba.
No, I'm at least glad that she has the awareness of what she values in life. That's good. At this age, that's really good. Selflessness. Smart, ambitious.
But it's an interesting activity. Okay, as people are hearing you say words, you know, sometimes your heart will be like, you know, oh, even I'm seeing honesty, and your heart will be so happy to see that. Okay. Sometimes, let's say you heard another word that Abba said, and be like, I don't know, I don't relate to that value. So just pay attention to those things also. But what you'll understand is, while the values help define right and wrong, there is no value that is right or wrong in that sense. What I mean by that is, if it is what Abha values, it is what Abha values. Is this what I value? Because this makes me who I am. That respect. I think in one of the chat earlier, I saw values help us see things from a different perspective. I'll invite you to even look at each other in different perspectives. Because for some people, it will be perseverance, and that's a beautiful value to take. You know, Abba is strong on some things. You know, as a person, she's very strong. So sometimes, and we are also friends. So I'll borrow the strength from her, you know. And when we are doing culturals, we do other things, I'll be like, you know, Abba's like a strong energy. So take her along with us, you know. Whereas I might bring some other quality and help the team in a different way. So what I mean by this is, when you see these words, you know, sometimes you'll see certain words that are so close to you and you like them very well. And then there'll be some words that you may not know very well, but can we still like it in that person? And I think that's the beauty of seeing all the names together like this.
Wonderful. I think we have some very, very interesting and deep values that we can see on the screen. Consciousness of God, humanity towards people. Wonderful.
So just
respect
see the power
your
of
haters too.
Absolutely beautiful. That's compassion, you know, that's deep compassion.
Yeah.
I saw
sharing knowledge, very important. I think that's one of the most important values that I think I would have lived my life with. Even as a student, if you can imbibe sharing your knowledge with others, it's a phenomenal experience, and it does great things for you.
Absolutely. And I think when I say humble also, I think one of the things that I heard, this was, you know, way back, I heard my mother say this to me, saying, you know, Uma, even if you try and say you're very knowledgeable and, you know everything that you know right now and you're very good, it still is 0.000001% of the entire world's knowledge over centuries and over space and etc. etc. And that gave me a perspective that, you know, being humble being clear what every day is a learning. Every day we learn about ourselves. Every day we learn about something new. I mean, we didn't even know certain technologies when we grew up in our college days, right? And today, look at the technology. It allows all of us to have a discussion today. It allows Abha and me to co-host, though she's in Bangalore and I'm in Chennai. So it's just amazing, and that humbleness is something that can come in every aspect of our life. So I just picked up that to share a story.
Great. I think we have pretty much a lot of values here, and a lot of them we can see that helping tendency, kindness, self-respect, loyalty, discipline, positivity, patience, creativity, trustworthiness. These are values that probably quite a few people in the group prescribe to. And independence, interesting and certainly very important.
So I'm taking a clue from a chat, Abha, which, remember we had this dude language. I forgot about that language. So I just saw a chat saying Podum dude. So I'm like, okay. So I'm sure it wasn't for us, but so the teachers, don't get anxious about it. But I think it's a beautiful message for us to go to the next aspect. If
absolutely, yes. So I'm going to take a screenshot and then we will.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. To the institute or something like that?
Sorry?
Later.
I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing so that you can go back to the presentation now.
Beautiful. So let's just draw our attention. So I know this is an activity we gave you 5 minutes for. So I'm just going to share presentation as I speak. So stay with this. Stay with this concept that you're learning, because today 90 minutes is just to start. Stay with this. Stay with the inspirations. Suddenly you'll find that you saw somebody else or you saw an event happening in your everyday circumstances, and then you might suddenly think, oh, that's a quality I like. So stay with this process. It's a joyful process to find out more about what inspires you, what inspires others. And when you see somebody, right, sometimes, like little small self of us, sometimes we compare, oh, that person's doing this person. But then in comparison, if you remember our value session in your life, immediately just pick up the inspiration. Because if we compare, or if we're jealous, or if we feel like, I wish I had that, it just shows that we're inspired by it. And if we're inspired by it, we have it, or we can have it. So that's the angle I'll leave you with, to think that it's a work in progress, right? Just like life is work in progress. So continue to look at what inspires you. Continue to look at people through the lens of values. Like, oh, okay, fine. So this is something they hold valuable. May not be what I hold valuable, but maybe this is valuable for them. And I find a lot of these friends fights also, we understand better when oh, okay, fine. So that is why they are very particular, because that is a core value of theirs. And what I've noticed over the life is when a core value is touched, we immediately go like, and we start fighting. Because we get upset and we can't believe, how can this person upset my core value? We won't say these things. But now through this session, I hope, when you make your friends in college, I hope you use this.
Incidentally, just as Uma was sharing about relationships and how sometimes when core values are touched, I was just reminded of a fight that Uma and I had when we were in college. We had a lot of fights, that's besides the point. But we have remained friends for over 20 years in spite of that. In fact, we've done our undergraduation, post-graduation, and our doctorate together. So you can imagine the strength behind that relationship. But I very distinctly remember one of the debates that we had, and we both left the department because we were upset with each other. I don't remember why we had an argument, but there was an argument, and he was on her scooty and I was in my kinetic, and we took left from college, and after about 200 meters we both stopped, and we looked at each other and we said, listen, let's just agree to disagree on certain things, but we value the relationship, we value each other, and our differences cannot be the reason why we cannot remain friends. And that also, that ability to become, that's where awareness becomes very, very critical. I am aware of what my value is. At the same time, I'm also aware that maybe the person in my circle has a different value. And I have a value of respect for the other person to be able to accept them enough and still keep them in my circle without trying to change them or without even wanting to change them. And I think our friendship itself is an example of we are alike in a lot of ways. At the same time, Uma and I can be on opposite poles. One can be north, one can be south in certain instances. But in spite of all that, if we have stayed friends and if we have stayed good friends that we can call at even 2 o'clock at night and ask for help, I think that comes from our respect for each other, and that becomes a very critical value. So, having discussed a lot about what are values, why values, also you've created a brilliant list of what values you have. I think it's time for us to look at another video.
Right. So I think, Abba, we've covered quite a bit in terms of, what's coming ahead as well. So I think, let's use the next two. So what we have ahead for you, for those of you who are very fast and, like wanting to get the next snippet of information, I think what we'll do over the next quick successions, Abha, is I think we've alluded to a lot of what we're covering in the future. So what we'll do is we'll quickly show you a video. Again, keep the background of all that we've discussed so far. Record your observation in the chat as you see it. Look for the values. And what I invite you to look for is, look for the value that is present in the individual characters, as well as look at the values. Can I get Tasfiha?
Yeah, Uma, go on.
Thank you so much. So that's a good one, Abba. So what we can invite you to do is, Mariam says can't hear. Abba, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that means it must be your technology, Mariam. It'll clear in a minute. Right. So see the video, record observations, particularly look at it from three lenses. Okay, look at it from what could be an individual value of the individual character, what could be a collective value that you're seeing that can be applicable to the whole situation, right? And do you see some universal values in the video? So just look at these, again, they're not watertight compartments, we'll talk about that, but just put these words in your mind as you're seeing. Are there some universal values here? Are there some collective, like among these character values? And also, is there some individual values here? So with that, let me just quickly go to the video. Abba, anything to add?
No.
Okay.
This is a very interesting video. There may be many elements that you will see. Just record whatever comes to your mind as a learning in the chat window.
Abba, maybe mute everybody.
Uma, can you pause it for a second? Just pause it for a second, please. I can see that there are some of you very curious to use this opportunity to get to know each other and make friends. You will have a lot of time, trust me, you will have a lot of time to find out which department people are from, what they are doing, what their names are. For now, we have very limited time, so I'm again requesting, let's be respectful of each other's time, which is one of the core values that you all put out there. And I'm going to request Sri Kavya and others to kindly listen. And I'm sure once the situation evolves and you're back in campus, you will have enough, trust me, I can give it to you in writing, enough time to socialize.
Thanks.
So let's get back to the video.
And yes, Anusha, I'll start from the beginning. Yes. Now, I can just mute all, maybe that would be simple.
Everyone is muted, but I can see a lot of chats happening.
Got it.
I would like to share what I got from this video. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So first of all, about the dog, it was loyal to its owner. So when it saw the crane, and when the owner said no, it obeyed it, and the owner didn't see the crane was taking the food away. That's why the dog was shouting. So the owner failed to see the perspective of the dog, I'll say. And then when the dog realized that his loyalty is costing a life, so he gave up that, because there kids. So this was actually an act of kindness and balancing the value. So when the dog helped the crane, it in turn wanted to give some gifts, so it gave fishes, and then obviously the owner was happy. So I guess the dog played a major role over here.
Nice, very nice. I see some other very nice things. Never judge anyone without knowing the entire truth, understand other people's problems. We only see what is shown to us by destiny. We don't see the other person's vision. Mother's love is always incomparable. As you sow, shall you reap? Yes.
The good you do comes back to you.
It's all about humanity. Never judge a book by its cover. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Don't hurt others. Kindness has its rewards. Interesting. Wonderful.
Awesome. So the reason we shared this video is I'll just in a minute just share this with you.
Yeah, Afreen, you want to say something?
Yeah. Ma'am, the core value I would like to say is that never judge anyone before knowing them completely. It's like the fisherman was like, he was, when he saw the dog like barking, he was like, ma'am, why is this one barking? And like, he was so annoyed because of it. But he didn't know that he was barking because the worms which he had in his bucket were taken by the crane or someone like that. So the main thing I would say is don't judge anybody before completely knowing them.
Good.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I heard another man go, Ma. Do you want to take a minute to let that person speak their piece?
Absolutely.
There was someone else who said, ma'am. Wow, it reminds us of all the ma'ams we yelled out in college. Okay, I think. Is there anyone else who wants to say something before we move on? Go ahead, Ma.
So I think you have beautifully captured this. You know what you did?
And all the very beautiful ones.
It is. Absolutely. One of the values is to have a lighter moment here and there. So yes, it's very cute. In fact, we both had a lot of expressions when we saw this video together.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So let me just put that together with what you're saying. Okay. So in your sharing, I found that, some of you were picking up, the qualities of each of the character. Like, dog had this, the mother had this.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Go on.
So dog had this, mother had this. So, there is this core value. So I'm trying to just leave this thought with you, because time and again we will come into so many of these situations where, we know that we need to take time to understand the situation. But then, when you appreciate all of these values coming together, it helps us. So what I mean by this is, each of you saw the video from a particular character perspective, which is the self values. We did an exercise just before, understanding our self values. So, but we ourselves don't live in isolation. And like all of you talked about, it is about the responsibility, social consciousness. Lots of you talked about, that beyond all of these things, the dog had a role, the dog had a character to play. The dog had a role, the dog had a character, or like, okay, I have to obey my master. But it also, at that moment, connected to the mother. So which is, if you look at the second and the third, it is essentially about the collective values that we have. And this can come from our families, from our friends, from our society. So as a society, or as JBAs, or as a student of JBAs, we all have to uphold certain qualities. As a family, a unit, you'll uphold certain qualities. So be aware that all of these values go in and out, and they all come together also. For example, at that moment when the dog helped the mother helped the dog, etc., collectively they upheld kindness, collectively they upheld helping someone in need. Thank you, Abba.
Yes, Uma, go ahead.
Thank you, Abba. So I think, when you look at this, that moment when that incident happened and the dog took that decision, okay, a universal quality of when someone in need helped them. So the little birds have to survive. So therefore, everything, obeying masters, obeying this, obeying that, they fell in second category. And the primary thing was survival of those baby birds. And that is how these things go in and out, And I think Abba will share as well in here. But this is how you can look at these. There are certain universal values, there are certain societal values, and there are some social values. And I think respecting all of these things, they could be the same, they could be different. But respecting them, living by all of these things, I think makes it whole. Because we don't live in an isolation bubble saying, Uma alone is the world. We cannot live that way. So when we live in our world, when we do our work, we're going to come in touch with so many of these circles. You and your ma'am, like you may want to go out and play and, get distracted and sleepy, but ma'am wants to, impart knowledge. So how does these two values work together? So that's the beauty of, looking at values like this. And I encourage you to think about this and see how this works. And there is no right or wrong to these situations. Every situation, like you saw the dog situation, every situation we will be faced to decide what the dog decided, to decide what the master decides, and to decide what the mother bird does. So, Abba, thoughts?
So, like Uma said, there is no right and wrong to the values that we hold dear, right? It may, and we already said this, that there could be values that you subscribe to that somebody else may not agree with or may not subscribe to. Again, to summarize the learning that Uma just shared from the slide is what we are trying to say is values are something that we can hold dear, that is within us, which is our personal values. The source of these values could be anything from our own experiences to those around us. Then our society, which includes our friends, families, the environment, the culture that we are in, that influences the kind of values that we have. Sometimes I may have a different personal value, but my society may demand a different value in that situation and context. And it's perfectly okay for me to live by that value when the situation requires it. Right? For example, a personal value could be at this age, it's all about making friends. Maslow's social needs is at its peak, where we are in it to enjoy, where we are in it to make friends and to build those bonds. But at the same time, the context that we find ourselves in demands or requires us to have the value of discipline. So it also becomes important for us as individuals to have the ability to integrate values and allow these values to coexist within ourselves. And that is the only way you will see consistency, and you will see order and sense in the behaviors that we demonstrate. And it's also very important to understand and realize that, to give you my own example, right? Like ma'am said, I have been in learning and development for so many years now. So one of the most important things or the values that this industry or this role or profession requires is punctuality. And my mentor, the person from whom I learned how to speak in public and how to conduct training programs, there's only one thing that he always consistently drilled into me. He said, Abha, if you have a training session, and I don't care even if you're dying, you go there, get on the stage, and die on the podium. But if you have committed to a person that you will be there to conduct the session for them, then you will be there to conduct that session for them. And it sounded very harsh at that point of time. It sounded very impractical at that point of time. But I have tried to live by that value, and I have successfully managed. And today, because consistently I have imbibed a value that was required for me in my profession, that universal value or societal value has now become a part of my personal value. So if it has come to a point where it comes very naturally to me, it doesn't matter whether I'm in a training or not, it doesn't matter whether I'm at a client's place or not. If I have given a commitment, I ensure that I fulfill that commitment. So values work both ways. Your personal values could influence your society, could influence your universe. So you may end up influencing your friends around you. It also works the other way. The values that you see outside in the universe, or what your context requires for you to do right now, may start influencing you over time. Right, and this can change. So there is there is no rule saying that if you had a value once, you have to die with that value and you have to live with that value forever. Depending on the role, depending on the situation, depending on the context, things evolve, things change. Right, when I started I incidentally started my career as a lecturer in JBS. And when I started teaching there, for some reason, maybe because that's what I saw my teachers invest in us when we were students, it became my personal responsibility to make sure that my students passed in my papers. So I probably have done everything possible under the sun. I would have given them revision tests and test after test after test to make sure that when they go for their exams, they somehow manage to clear that exam and clear that paper. But that's a value I held close to my heart, or I held as a value then. But today, when I go to a college as a guest lecturer, and today when I teach, I realize that each student is an individual in his or her own right, and they have a right to decide what they want to do with their life. And I would rather respect them as adults in a certain boundary of discipline to make their own life decisions. And instead of me driving their success, where I get nightmares about their performance and their examinations, I let it come from them, that if you really want to be responsible for how you want to shape your life, if you really want to be successful in your life, then that's your responsibility. And while I can be there as a support system, I do not want to be there as a driving force behind you anymore, right? Because I'm not going to be there for the rest of your lives. And that has changed the way I interact with my students now. So that's a change in value. So it's very important to understand that values influence across these concentric circles, and values can change for the individual over time based on different contexts. All right. Uma, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, when you talked about change, this other thing that also changes over our own life experiences, it's also the way the values are shown. So, for example, remember when we used to be students, and when we talk about showing respect, for example, it may end up in necessarily certain behaviors that we used to do as students, right? But actually, over the years, if you understand the coming generation, the way respect is shown is very different. So one of the things that I see is encouraging is that, there is a letter and a spirit, a form and an essence, which means we hold the respect, but it doesn't mean that we all have to show it the same way. And so the important thing is first to hold the value. Second thing, to understand that people may show respect in different ways. Likewise, also, I think love, right? When with friends, I remember in college time, for example, we will think that, okay, if this friend likes me very much, or if this friend, considers me very special, they should do A, B, C. And we used to say, oh, if A, B, C is not there, oh, that person doesn't think that I am special enough. But then over the years, if you see the way, life takes you, you meet so many bosses, you meet so many people, you meet your life partner. So, when you start looking at this, you realize that, oh, the way I show love is very different from the way my husband will show love. And so to understand that we both value love, but the way we show it would be very different. And so this got to me the third thing that you said, Abba. One is, of course, it evolves. One is it influences across individual and the larger context. And the third thing is also how we show it can also change in the way we do it. And it doesn't mean that the exact way we think in our head is what is needed. So likewise, students may think that, yes, I'm respecting if I do certain things, but the institute may think that these are some behaviors which can be added. So having the flexibility a little bit around how we show the behavior of the value can help us as individuals. And respecting, not like, I think a lot of the things that you saw, do not judge a book by the cover. I would say do not judge a value by the behavior necessarily. At the same time, I think moving on to the next topic, if we don't show the value, and if we just hold it but don't demonstrate it, I don't think we can inspire or we can change or we can even live our lives fully, I believe. So I think the last piece that we wanted to move towards is actually around, demonstrating the values. So I think, putting all of these together, Abha, I think we can show the video and then take it on. Would that be okay?
Yes.
I think the last video, and this is our last video, and then we have a little bit of conversation. So I think this last video puts together a lot of things that we are talking about. So let me just get to that video.
So while Uma pulls up the video, it's a very cute video. It's one of my favorite videos. I'm going to request you all to write down the first thing that comes to your mind when after you've seen the video. Just one word per person. The first thing that came to your mind after you see the video, you can enter that in the chat box. Right?
Okay.
So this life is careful, everyone a present, beautiful, shiny and new. Everyone but you. Golden ribbons, diamonds, line everyone's path that leads to white golden door. Keep on, even when the road seems very long. Open your eyes, even if it's cold now. There's one thing you should know. Rain will turn into snow. All the winter season.
Right. So quickly, yes, I can see friendship. What else? What else did the video tell us? Or what was our learning from the video? Spread love, inequality, appearance is not big thing, humanity, love, acceptance, and great, accept people as they are. Right. So yes, inclusion is what I normally use this video for. But if you look at it from a value perspective, one of the beauty of this video is if you see what happened in the video, there was this one student with a lot of spikes, a porcupine, who could not, though they wanted to play with this new student, they could not include that student because they were getting hurt. They did try. In the video somewhere you saw that one of these students did go and try to include, and then he got hurt, he got poked, so he took a step back. And the beauty here is that, did they leave it at that? Did they make their peace that, okay, I tried and it's not working out, so it's not my problem anymore, and felt good about that? Or did they demonstrate their value of being inclusive? Did they demonstrate the value of being respectful to the others, being respectful to individual differences, and create an environment, create an ecosystem where people with differences could coexist. And that is one of the most important things we would like you to take away from today's session. It's very easy for us to many times say that, I have this value. But the question you must ask yourself is, are you living by that value? Are you showing that value? It is not enough for you to know that you have that value. What is important is, are people around you able to give you a feedback saying that, I've observed this value. And then it means that we are probably living by that value. So, having value orientation, being socially conscious, is not just about having a value and keeping it like a certificate in our life, but it is all about demonstrating it in every single interaction with every single person. For example, if you look at our current context today with the whole COVID situation, there is a lot happening in the world. It's a situation that none of us imagined ourselves to be in. Nobody ever thought that we are going to be having online classes like this, where there are going to be 600 plus students getting together for a class, right? You all expected to go to college and you probably had your own visions and dreams about how that college life would be. You did not expect to be a college student from home. But that's our reality today. And these are very smaller challenges, but there are larger challenges that the world is going through. So, for example, if I say that as an individual, I'm a person who believes in compassion, the question for me is, am I living by compassion? Am I able to show that compassion when the situation requires it? It could be in the smallest of ways, it could be in the largest of ways. But if we do not translate values into action, then it defeats the purpose of having values dear to us. So, Uma, if you could go to the last slide. What we would like you all to do is, before the time for the session comes to an end. Yes, Uma, go ahead.
So, no, just one thing as I'm pulling up the slide. I think the one thing that I wanted to add on to what you're saying is, how do we show this compassion that you talked about, but also when it is very hard. Like even when the videos got hurt, or, for example, even if something else of us were upset, even in the most anxious states, stressful states, can we still hold that value intact? And that is truly living our value. So I think I just wanted to add a little bit of something before we sort of bring the last activity. Abba, can we see the presentation? Sure. Right? Sorry.
No, I can see your desktop. You need to go to the presentation. Sorry. So while Uma is pulling up the slide, I also see in the chat a lot of discussion around value inner beauty, do not value appearance. I agree with you that the video does talk about how appearances do not matter. But once again, I would like to reiterate and reaffirm that what we are focusing on as a learning from that video is, regardless of what is outside, do we have in us the ability to live by and demonstrate a value that we claim to have? So if I say I have compassion, can you see that compassion from me, not just for my friend, not just for my relative, but do I have it in me to live by compassion in every single aspect of my life? Do I have the ability to give? And giving and receiving is very critical right now in today's environment, right? With the whole COVID situation, we are giving support where we are able to give support. At the same time, we should be open to receiving support, because we are not gods. We are not capable of everything. So if I have a value of self-sufficient, am I flexible enough to say that, right now situation requires me to ask for the support? Can I go ahead and ask for it? Can I accept it if somebody is giving it to me? So commitment, giving, receiving, compassion, these are core values that help us as individuals, especially will help you as students when you're shaping your lives, when you're shaping your future. And quickly, before our time comes to an end, what we would like you to do is go back to your writing pads where you wrote down your core values and try and identify either the top 2 or top 3 that you circled, and ask yourselves, how will you live by these values? How will those around you know that this is a value that you have? How will people around you be able to say that, this is a value that she lived by. This is a value that I can see in her behavior. How will you, in other words, integrate your values with your actions and with what you do in life? Take about a couple of minutes to do this.
Get inspired by it as well, right, Abba? So
yes.
So again, it's an individual activity.
Yes, it's an individual activity. Like Uma said, please write it down. Once you've written it down, you can raise your hand. Very simple ways of how will you live by it.
They can even take the context of their college or next 4 years or every day. It doesn't matter. Anyone.
That may actually make more sense.
Hello. Can we repeat again? Yes. So you take the values for yourself in your own notebook. Take the top, anyone of the top 3. But could you, yeah.
Kinoma, 1 second, yeah. There is a Sakina Banu that I'm constantly muting and it becomes, she unmutes herself. I'm going to request you to kindly remain on mute. Sakina, please remain on mute. Don't unmute yourself unless you have something to say.
Yes. So I think I see some requests are repeating. So the activity is take your notebook, go back. I think Sakina Banu wants to say something.
Excuse me, ma'am.
No, there is, who's saying ma'am? Yes, go ahead and speak, please.
Okay, respect everybody's time. So let's just hold for a second. I will repeat this right now. Take your
नहीं रमजान मिस्री बादाम उड़ाव नको पिस्ता काजू खजूर उड़ाव नको का तो मान लीजा.
Go ahead, Uma.
Thank you.
Mute them, ma. You please mute them.
I'm muting them, ma'am, but then some of them keep unmuting them. Must be a system setting or something.
No problem, no problem. So, okay, silence prevails. So, this is an individual activity. Spend a minute, pick up one of the top of your core values. And as the slide says, write down what would be simple ways that you would live this value. What are the actions or behaviors that you would do that you can live this value by so that it integrates into your everyday life. You know, it's not like a switch on, switch off button. So it's like, what do I do every day that will help me live this value and inspire others by living this value? So that's what you're writing down in your own notebook. So individual activity, any of your core values for yourself. Thank you.
So, for example, if respect was your core value, how will you live by respect? How will you demonstrate respect? So, if self-respect was your core value, how will you live by self-respect? So, does it mean that when somebody does not speak to you in the right manner, will you correct them? That do not speak to me like that. So, it could be anything. We are just giving you examples, but the idea is for you to be able to identify at least one or two ways in which you will live by these values.
And you can take the next 4 years of your student life as a context.
Right, I can see some hands go up. So, for example, I see someone has written honest, right? So, how will you live by honesty? How will you demonstrate it? How will you integrate it in your behavior? That's what we want you to think of. If you've said commitment, what does commitment mean in reality? Does it mean that though you're having only online classes, you will be committed to every single assignment? You will try and ensure that you attend every single class with dedication? So, these are the ways in which people around you will see you living by commitment.
So I see many people are giving their values as well. So I think as Abba mentioned, you can talk about how to translate that. So for example, I hope somewhere. So what is hope? Which means I will remain positive in my thoughts. Even if negative, thoughts come, I will try and, reject them and I will look at how to change the situation. I will hold hope in a way that there will be a breakthrough. Even if there's a difficulty, I will persevere. These are examples of how I will hold hope. Respect could be like, even if there's a difference. Sorry,
Go on.
I think like what Abha gave an example of both of us. Respect at that point was we respected each other. So we set aside our fight. We stood, we respected each other. We talked about it. and therefore I gave her space to talk, she gave me space to talk. This is an example of respect. So like that, translate how you would live your value the next 4 years as a student.
I'm seeing a lot of values in the chat screen where I'm seeing things like my parents are my inspiration, destroy negativity, my character influences me. So while these are good values that you have, what we want you to keep as a learning is great. I think we are covered and we are very sorted when it comes to identifying what are important values for you in your life right now. So I'm not concerned about that so much. But again, what Uma and I are trying to say is that while you have these values, and there is a certainly long list of values that we have as a group created and listed out, it is important for you, especially at the age and phase of life that you are in, to be able to ask yourselves responsibly, how can I demonstrate these values? Right? So I gave you an example, for commitment. So for me, I will know that you have commitment as a value when one of your colleagues, one of your teachers is able to tell me, you know what, the student is extremely committed. That to me will mean and show that you have commitment. So what are you going to do to contribute to your commitment as a value? How are you going to bring that across? How is commitment going to shine through you as an individual, right? That's what you need to focus on. I understand that 5 minutes is a very less time to be able to deep dive and think about these things. But the request that we have for you is very sincerely, do think about it when you have some time. Reflect on this. It's a very important aspect of living a value conscious life. Right? So even if you do not, confidence makes perfect. Yes, confidence is important. Confidence makes perfect. But then the question again that I will ask you is, how will you show confidence?
So if I say an example, for example, if I achieve my own title or dignity, I get self-respect from society. So that is how that person is translating self-respect. Okay?
Yes.
And to do that, what all will you do every day? So you're getting there slowly.
Okay. Ma'am?
Great. So,
yes.
Yes.
So the value that I want to share is positivity. Staying positive. So how I am gonna integrate this value into my action is that I can spread positivity by saying that you can do this, you can finish it, come on, motivating them. So that is one way by, being positive and also making them stay positive. So yeah, that is one thing.
Good example.
I want.
Excellent. Great. Thanks for sharing that, Anisha. So any questions that anybody has?
Ma'am,
Yeah?
can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, Lina, yes.
My core value is the first core value for me is self-love. I think if you want to love others, I think you should love yourself first. In that way, if we love ourselves, we know what we want, and we start to think that the other person also has these things what they want. So we will also put ourselves in other situations and think that maybe they did this wrong because they were in this situation. So we will not put our bad qualities on others.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So self-love is what is very important for me.
And so how would you do self-love is obviously when you accept your own mistakes, okay?
Yes.
When you motivate yourself. So these are ways that you can actually ask yourself, so how would I self-love? Right? Don't doubt yourself. Beautiful. That was a sentence. Don't doubt yourself. That's an example of self-love. Yeah.
And I would like to share something.
Yes, Afreen. Yes,
I would also. My core value would never giving up. Like the way I will impart is I will stand up every time I fall, and without losing my hope, in order to live by my value of never giving up. And thank you so much, Abama, for your inspiring stories and so many things. I really like this session so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. So any questions before we wrap up? Uma, anything that you would like to add before we wrap up?
No, I think we all have a unique brilliance. So we wish you well So shine through your life.
So
Accept and excel in your life.
you have our email IDs on the screen. You may want to write it down. If you have any questions for either of us, we'll be more than happy to support you. That's a value that we have to ensure that we are of support wherever we can. So please feel free to write to us, drop in your questions. We may not reply immediately, but knowing Uma and knowing myself, we will most certainly reply. That's a commitment that you have from us. So before we end the session, a very short story to close everything that we've discussed. I mean, you're all in Chennai, but if any of you have gone, even I think it's true even for Chennai. Typically, if any of you go to beach early in the morning around 4:35 for a walk, what is one of the most common things that you will see?
People jogging around and doing exercise.
Yeah, and a common characteristic that you would always see is that there will be a lot of these seniors who will be walking. You know, they really enjoy their 5 a.m. walk because it's really quiet, and you will have them gathered together talking and doing their laughter club and things like that. So there was this guy in Bombay, a senior citizen who lived right across the beach, and he would go for his walks early morning. Every day around 5. And as always, he goes to the beach. And when he starts walking towards the beach, incidentally, very surprisingly, he looks at someone who appears to be dancing. And he gets very curious as to who is dancing so early in the morning. I've never seen this person. And he walks closer to the person. And as he walks closer to the person, he's even more surprised to see that this is a very young boy, about 7 to 8-year-old kid. And what he observes is that the entire shore around this child is full of starfishes. And this little boy is bending, picking a starfish, throwing it into the water. Bends down again, picks another starfish, throws it into the water. And this entire movement of bending and throwing is what looked like somebody was dancing. And the man gets very curious. Senior people are also very curious. And he goes and taps him on the shoulder and asks him, "Hey boy, what are you doing?" And the boy looks at the old man and says, "Sir, there was high tide last night and all these starfishes were washed ashore. So I'm trying to save them by putting them back into the water." The old man laughs and he looks at the boy and says, "Are you crazy? Do you really think you can make a difference? There are like thousands of starfishes here." And the boy remains quiet, looks at the old man, bends down, picks his starfish, throws it back into the water, looks at the old man again and says, "Sir, I just made a difference to that one." Meaning to say that when you're walking on the path of values, when you're trying to be socially conscious, especially as students, you will have a lot of opportunities to make small, small differences. You do not have to aim for the larger picture right here, right now. The world is your oyster, but be conscious of making whatever difference you can. Even if it is one value that you want to integrate in your lives, be true to that. Make use of every opportunity that presents itself to you to live by your value. Experiment, learn, discuss, share, and your friends can be the best support systems, the best learning systems that you have because they can act like a mirror to each other. So use the support system that you have here and make your life what it can truly be because you all have great potential to be. And if you have any questions for us anytime, you can write to us. Both our email IDs are there. On that note, thank you very, very much. May you live a value conscious life and all the very best. Uma, would you like to add something?
No, just shine your brilliance. And I love what he said. You know, you all have amazing potential. And I think live your potential, enjoy every moment, and live your life fullest. So all our prayers and all our wishes for that.
So maybe before we all log out, you would all like to switch on your videos just for us to see. We can stop the screen sharing and see each other. Those of you who can turn on your videos, just turn on your videos. So great. Okay, I can see Preeti now.
Dear Abba and Uma, thank you for the wonderful session. And I wish we have many more sessions with you girls in future. Okay, I appreciate all our wonderful students for their active participation. Saida, Jamal Saida.
Yes, ma'am, I'll continue.
Yes.
That was indeed a brainstorming one. I'm confident that our freshers will surely be benefited from your session and everyone has a virtual take-home message today. Before we move to the last part of the session, a gentle reminder about the feedback link. The feedback link for today's session will be posted in your respective WhatsApp groups by your class teachers. All the students are requested to fill up the form and submit the same as soon as you receive it. As the saying goes, we have come to the end of the 5th day of this.
Ma'am, I'm just going to mute everyone. 1 second, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to place on record my sincere gratitude to Dr. Uma Narayanan and Dr. Abha Bhatia for such a motivational and power-packed session. I feel elated to see our alma mater reach great heights and become assets to the community as a whole. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. I wish and pray that many among the audience will achieve great heights in future. I sincerely thank our principal, Dr. Shanaz Ahmed, and our vice principal, Dr. Amtul Aziz, for being instrumental in organizing such a beneficial session. I thank the team IQAC for meticulously planning and executing the same. I thank Dr. Wahida Mateen, the organizer of the session, who, according to me, is a great mentor. I thank Dr. Sarita, Assistant Professor, Department of Plant Biology and Plant Biotechnology, for her technical assistance throughout the session. Last but not the least, I thank the wonderful audience for their cooperation and patient hearing. Thank you all once again. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you all for all your warm wishes and have a lovely day.
All the best.
Girls, I think you can all leave the meeting. Thank you so much.